I welcome you all to the session of hydraulic machines, and the topic of our today's discussion is positive displacement pump. We have discussed about radial flow pump, axial flow pump, and if we try to recall that in the introductory lecture of this course, we had classification, rather we had discussion on the classification of pumps, radial flow pump, axial flow pump. These pumps fall in the category of rotodynamic pump. We have also discussed that there is another group of pumps which are known as positive displacement pump. So, we will see that the application of this type of pump, and then finding its huge utility in several areas. Positive displacement pump are also having different I can say types. So, today we shall we shall start our discussion with this type of pump, but before getting into the working principle which we shall try to discuss today, we shall try to recapitulate what is positive displacement pump and then what is special about it, why this type of pump is used in situation wherein axial flow and radial flow pump, and radial flow pump is unable to meet the requirement. So, our discussion today is positive displacement pump. Probably I have discussed that the positive displacement pump or pumps, the functioning of these pumps is not exactly what we have learned about the functioning of rotodynamic pump. So, in short, this is also known as PD pump. So, this PD pump, in fact, I have discussed this part, but still I would like to recapitulate, which will help us to again understand the functioning of PD pump or PD pumps depends on the change of certain volume of liquid within the machine, right. So, a certain volume within the machine, if we can identify certain volume at any instant, that certain volume of the fluid will change, and depending on the change of certain volume of fluid within the machine, the functioning of PD pump works. So, here two words, if I try to underline these two words, positive displacement. Why these pumps are called positive displacement? So, what I said about there will be a change in certain volume of fluid in the pump, right. So, this is the important part, and now the positive displacement, that means certain volume will change with time. So, basically there will be a spatiotemporal change of the certain volume of fluid within the machine itself or pump itself, and the positive, the word positive and displacement. So, you can see that there will be a displacement of certain mass of liquid, certain mass of fluid being handled by the pump, and the word positive is coming from the sense that there will be a positive displacement. So, the word you can see that a change in certain volume of fluid in the pump, that is the key sentence. In fact, the functioning of these pumps depend on this. Now, when there will be a change in certain volume of the fluid, definitely that there will be basically displacement of the fluid that is being handled by the pump. Now, the word positive is coming from the fact that there is a physical displacement of certain mass of liquid as a control mass system. That means, we have studied in fluid mechanics, if we talk about control volume system, so there will be inflow and outflow, but in a positive displacement pump, this certain volume of the liquid, so this is liquid, and there will be a physical displacement of the boundary which is occupying this certain mass of liquid as a control mass system. That means, when the liquid is getting displaced from the system, it is just like a control mass system, there is no inflow. So, that is very important to understand over here, that positive displacement. So, this is the boundary which is occupying this amount of liquid. So, mass of liquid, and there is a physical displacement of this boundary as a control mass system. So, that means, when this when this amount of liquid is getting displaced from the pump, there is no inflow, right. So, that is control mass system. Okay. So, this is just a recapitulation. So, we have seen why I am trying to discuss this part. So, we have seen that this mass of liquid, rather the boundary. So, physical displacement of this mass of liquid from the pump will be there. In fact, functioning of these pumps depends on this particular aspect. So, now we can understand. So, what should be the flow geometrical configuration of this type of pump. You can see this is completely different from the rotodynamic from the rotodynamic pumps. In radial flow pump and axial flow pump, we have seen that there is a continuous inflow to the control to the pump, and there is continuous outflow. But this is basically I am telling physical displacement of the boundary, right. So, that is the positive displacement, and the displacement will be as a control mass system. So, when this amount of liquid is getting displaced from the pump, there will not be any inflow to the pump. So, which is completely different than what we have seen in case of rotodynamic pumps. Rotodynamic pumps, there is continuous inflow to the pump impeller, and there is continuous outflow from the pump. So, certain amount of liquid is coming into the pump and certain amount of liquid is going out from the pump, but this is not the case for the positive displacement pump. In this case, there will be definitely physical displacement of certain amount of liquid, but that displacement is just like a control mass system. So, certain pump will, so try to understand, I am trying to give you a physical sense. So, basically what will happen, that there will be different strokes. We will discuss soon that when the pump is taking certain amount of liquid from the suction arm, that liquid, complete liquid will be displaced in the next temporal instant. So, it is not a case that is a continuous inflow and continuous outflow, and that is why. So, we can distinctly demarcate the displacement of the physical boundary of the liquid mass from the pump itself as a control mass system, and that is why this positive displacement, the words positive displacement is there. Okay. So, the word positive and displacement, so these two words are coming from the fact that there is a physical displacement of the boundary of certain amount of fluid mass that is there inside the pump. Okay. And this is a control mass system. We have studied control mass system and control volume system in thermodynamics. We have seen that in a control volume system there may be multiple inlet and multiple outlets, but in case of a control mass system there is no any mass interaction. So, as if the liquid mass which is there at a temporal instant inside the pump, that liquid mass will be completely displaced from the pump in the next temporal instant. Okay. So, with this little bit of recapitulation, let us now move to see the working principle of the positive displacement pump. But before I am going to discuss that these PD pumps, there are different types of PD pumps, right. So, for example, I can say gear pump, vane pump, screw pump and reciprocating pump. Okay. So, I mean all these pumps fall into the category of positive displacement pump. Why? So, in all these pumps certain amount of fluid mass that will be taken into the pump, say at a given temporal instant, that fluid mass I mean will be displaced from the pump in the next or later instant of time, and when as if the liquid mass is taken into the pump and entire liquid mass will be displaced. So, this is positive displacement, physical displacement of the boundary, right. We can identify the physical displacement of the boundary and that boundary will be having displacement, right. So, this is what is the PD pump. Now, in this particular case, in this particular course, what we will be trying? In this particular course, we will be focusing to discuss about the working principle to illustrate the concept in which PD pump works. We will be taking this particular type. So, we will be focusing on the reciprocating pump. Okay. So, though there are other pumps like gear pump, vane pump, screw pump, all these pumps are PD pump, but all these pumps are PD pumps, but in this course we will be focusing on the reciprocating pump to illustrate the working principle of this type of pumps. Okay. Okay. So, now let us move to see. So, we will be discussing about reciprocating pump. So, again this is a PD pump. Okay. Now, today what we will do, we will try to discuss about the working principle. We have seen that in this pump, I mean it is not like a radial flow pump that we have studied. So, there will be rotor dynamic, I mean there will be a whirling motion of the pump impeller. So, the impeller will be rotating, there will be continuous inflow to the pump and continuous outflow from the pump. So, this is not a case for this type of pump. So, that question is, one important question is, then having understood the working principle and several other issues related to the radial flow and axial flow pumps, why do we need to study this special type of pump? Now, if you try to recall, in my introductory class I have discussed about the application areas wherein positive displacement pump I can say is positive displacement pumps are largely used. So, that requirement when we talk about pump, so basically whether it is rotodynamic pump or this is a PD pump, two important flow parameters are important. First is volume flow rate and second is discharge, second is head. So, first one is the volume flow rate or discharge, second one is the head. Now, in all the practical applications, either we need higher discharge, low to moderate head or vice versa. So, depending on the requirement, and that is definitely dictated by the end user. So, where this pump or pumps will be installed. So, either this quantity or this quantity. So, depending on the physical requirement of the flow rate or the head that will be developed by the pump, a particular type of pump is selected, right. So, we have seen that the radial flow pumps are used in areas wherein we need low to moderate head and also moderate discharge. Axial flow pumps are used in different places wherein requirement is low head against a high discharge. Now, so if we have understood that axial flow pump which are used for low head against a high discharge. Exactly, now if the situation is like this, that requirement is low head. So, if the requirement is low head, I can say low to moderate flow rate and high head. So, you can see the axial flow pumps are used in different applications where we need low head against high discharge. Exactly, if the situation is if the scenario is completely different, that is if the requirement is high head and low to moderate discharge, in those applications positive displacement pumps are used. Okay. So, at least though we have discussed this part, but still today in this context just I have tried to discuss it again, that the requirement of positive displacement pump is there. So, there are applications wherein the requirement is very high head against a low to moderate discharge. In those applications positive displacement pumps are used. So, now with this let us now move try to discuss about the working principle of a reciprocating pump, which is nothing but a PD pump. So, I mean just I am writing again reciprocating pump. PD pump. Okay. Probably you all have seen a very common reciprocating pump. You know that when we need to pump air into the wheel of a bicycle, that time we go to the bicycle shop and we try to use a pump essentially to pump air into the tube of the wheels, right. So, that is again a very practical example of the reciprocating pump, right. So, you have seen whether the reciprocating pump will be operated manually or the pump will be operated by electric motor, that is different aspect altogether, but you can see you have seen that the functioning depends essentially on the reciprocating action of one piston. So, whether the pump will be operated manually, in fact if it is manually operated pump, you have seen that piston is having to and fro motion, right, which is used to pump air into the tube of a wheel of the bicycle. So, now in that case there is a reciprocating motion of the piston. So, just now if we try to conceptualize, say this is piston cylinder and if we try to draw one piston, so this is the piston and this piston will be having to and fro motion. Definitely between two, say this is two different ends, piston will have to and fro motion between these two stops. So, maybe these two stops are, I mean the stroke length. So, basically you have studied in machine design, you have also studied internal combustion engine. So, the piston will have movement between these two between these two stops, and whether that piston will be operated manually or it will be operated by an electric motor or internal combustion engine, that is different aspect. So, if you would like to have high speed of the this piston, it is very difficult to achieve if you operate it manually. Definitely for that case you have to go for electric motor operated or internal combustion engine operated. Fine. Now, I would like to discuss about, so basically what is happening that here if I try to draw using, so we have this is called inlet port and there will be one valve. And that will be outlet port, again we will have one valve. So, this is outlet valve and maybe this is connected to suction sum. So, this is inlet valve. Okay. So, this is say this is liquid, this is suction tank, and that liquid will be pumped to one delivery tank. So, this is delivery tank. Okay. So, our objective is to discuss about the working principle, which is very common. I have given you an example that when you need to pump air into the tube of the bicycle wheels, we go to bicycle shaft and we use that is called commonly called pumper. So, using that pump I think in most of the cases it is manually operated. So, there is a piston and that piston will have to and fro movement between these two stops, and what is done, air is taken into the pump and that air will be displaced and in the delivery stroke and that will go to the tube of the cycle wheel. Okay. So, now if it is basically we will be talking about this reciprocating pump or PD pump, which is used for applications where requirement is supplying low to moderate quantity of liquid against a very high head. In that case these pumps are commonly used. So, now let us discuss about the working principle. So, as I said, the piston will have, say this is cylinder bottom end. So, there are strokes. So, first of all we need to identify different strokes. Okay. So, you see first is a suction stroke, okay. So, you know that piston will be at the cylinder bottom end, and then when the piston is moving towards the cylinder outer end, right. So, during the suction stroke, cylinder will be having movement from piston will be having movement from cylinder bottom end to the cylinder outer end, right. You know that here atmospheric pressure is acting in the suction tank. Now, our objective should be to create vacuum pressure inside the cylinder, so that the pressure inside the cylinder is sufficiently less than the atmospheric pressure. In that case, the driving pressure, I mean pressure difference between the atmospheric pressure and pressure inside the cylinder will allow liquid to move from the suction tank into the cylinder. So, when the piston is moving from cylinder bottom end to the cylinder outer end, in that case the inlet valve will open by virtue of the pressure difference. So, inlet valve will open experiencing a driving force, and the driving force will be there due to the pressure difference between the atmospheric pressure and pressure there inside the cylinder. Okay. So, essentially some amount of liquid will be sucked or drawn into the cylinder by opening the inlet valve. So, this inlet valve and outlet valve, these two valves are I can say one way valves. So, basically inlet valve will open in this direction and outlet valve also will open in this direction. So, valve will open. So, these inlet and outlet valves, all valves are one way valve. Okay. So, when the liquid is moving to the cylinder from the suction tank, valve will open, and this valve will open because there is a sufficient driving force, and the driving force is able to lift the valve overcoming its inertia. Okay. So, the common tendency of the valve will be to remain seated over here until and unless sufficient driving force is acting on the valve and liquid will not go into the cylinder. So, when piston is moving from the cylinder bottom end to the cylinder outer end, pressure inside the cylinder will be less than the atmospheric pressure, which will create a driving force. So, this pressure difference is the driving force to occur liquid flow from suction tank to the inside of the cylinder by opening the inlet valve. Next stroke, so is a delivery stroke. So, now as I told you that when piston is coming towards the cylinder outer end, so the piston motion will be decelerated. So, when piston movement is getting started from the cylinder bottom end, its movement will be accelerated. So, that acceleration will reduce the pressure inside the cylinder from the atmospheric pressure, which is acting on the liquid surface, and as a result of this, as a result of which the liquid from the tank will flow into the cylinder. Now, when the piston is approaching the stop, which is there at the cylinder outer end, its motion will be decelerated. So, cylinder, the deceleration of the piston movement will also lead to deceleration of the liquid movement in the cylinder as well as in the relevant pipeline. So, try to understand, again I am telling, when piston is moving towards the stop, which is there at the cylinder outer end, the movement of the piston will be decelerated. Because of the deceleration, the movement of the liquid or velocity of the liquid in the cylinder as well as the relevant pipeline, so that is in the suction pipeline, will be decelerated. Now, what will happen? So, when the movement is getting decelerated, so the driving force between this suction tank and the cylinder end also will be reduced. When the driving force will be reduced, the valve will automatically close. So, as I told you, a threshold, I mean when the driving force acting across the valve is beyond the threshold value which is required to lift the valve, only then valve will allow liquid to go from suction tank to the cylinder. Now, when piston is reaching at the cylinder outer end, due to its deceleration, eventually liquid in the suction pipe as well as in the cylinder will be decelerated, which in turn will reduce the pressure difference. When the pressure difference between suction tank and inside the cylinder will be reduced, the driving force will not be able to make the flow occur by lifting the valve, and the common tendency of the valve is will be there and it will try to block the path. And now the cylinder is filled in with some amount of liquid, right. So, at the end of the suction stroke, cylinder is now filled in with some amount of liquid. Okay. the next stroke is delivery stroke. As I told you, now when piston is coming from cylinder outer end to the cylinder bottom end, that is the delivery stroke. In this stroke what will happen, you know, that liquid volume that is there inside the cylinder, the amount of liquid that is drawn into the cylinder during suction stroke will be now having, so another kind of displacement, and that is what we have studied. So, as I am telling, we have studied today that the cylinder amount of liquid that will be drawn into the cylinder, now this valve will be closed, because the when the piston will have movement from cylinder outer end to the cylinder bottom end, the liquid volume that is there inside the cylinder will be experiencing a force, and that is because of which the liquid will create a pressure on the inlet valve, and this is one way valve. So, valve will try to sit over here. So, liquid will not come, liquid will not go back to the suction tank, right. So, now what will happen, this liquid, the movement of the piston from the cylinder outer end to the cylinder bottom end will pressurize the liquid which is there inside the cylinder, and that will try to lift the outlet valve and it will go to the delivery tank. Again it is one way valve. So, the movement of the cylinder, movement of the piston towards the cylinder bottom end, which will create a pressure on the liquid volume that is there inside the cylinder. Because of this pressure, so the outlet valve will open, I mean when the pressure inside the pressure acting on the liquid volume inside the cylinder will go beyond the threshold value, then only this outlet valve will open and the liquid will now go to through the delivery pipe to the delivery tank. So, this is delivery pipe. And this is suction pipe. Okay. So, you can see that by having to and fro movement, reciprocating action of the piston, we can have pumping of certain amount of liquid from the suction tank to the delivery tank, right. So, again I am telling, so the reciprocating motion of the piston cylinder will allow certain amount of liquid to be drawn into the cylinder during suction stroke. When the delivery stroke will begin, that time the inlet valve will be closed. So, liquid will not be able to come, rather go back to the suction tank, and the amount of liquid that is there inside the cylinder, entire volume will be displaced during the delivery stroke to the delivery tank, right. So, you can see when it is not a case that is that what we have studied from the discussion of radial flow pump or axial flow pump, that it is not that the there is a rotary I can say rotating element and always some amount of liquid is coming into the pump and some amount of liquid is going out from the pump. So, here it is completely different. So, certain amount of liquid mass will be drawn into the cylinder during suction stroke, and in the delivery stroke that amount of liquid will be displaced. So, there will be a positive displacement of the boundary of that liquid mass through the delivery pipe into the delivery tank. So, that is why the positive displacement, the name is there. So, now you can see this is the delivery stroke. So, question is what we have understood, that means by tuning the reciprocating motion of the piston, we can control the amount of liquid that will be discharged, right. So, also we can see that is called the stroke length. So, the piston movement will be restricted between these two stops. So, the amount of liquid volume that will be displaced by this pump also will depend on the stroke length, that part we will be discussing later in this course. So, what is important over here, that if we try to now, so basically instead of, if we try to operate this piston, that is if we try to have the twin reciprocating movement of the piston by using an electric motor or internal combustion engine, instead of operating it manually. So, I mean we will see that this piston is will be connected to the crank through a connecting rod mechanism. Now, when the crank will be rotated say at a speed omega, so depending on the speed of the crank rotation, we can tune the rotation reciprocating motion of the piston, which in turn will help us to have alteration in the amount of volume that will be discharged by the pump. Okay. So, today what I will do, I will briefly try to discuss about. So, at least we have understood something from today's discussion is that you know that when piston is having movement from the cylinder bottom end to the cylinder outer end, pressure inside the cylinder is getting reduced, and that is what our objective should be to when someone is designing the reciprocating pump. So, that pressure is definitely less than the atmospheric pressure, and that vacuum pressure creates. So, basically the pressure inside the cylinder will be less than the atmospheric pressure, and that is the driving force to have a flow of liquid from suction tank to this cylinder. So, and again in the delivery stroke this valve is remaining closed. So, the cylinder is now having certain amount of liquid mass, and that liquid will be displaced during the delivery stroke through the delivery pipe. So, again pressure volume will be changing. So, if we try to draw the plot, rather if we try to draw the change of pressure inside the cylinder and the volume of the liquid in this plane. So, this PV plane. So, you have seen that now if we try to draw one line, say this is atmospheric pressure. So, if this is the atmospheric pressure, so this is P equal to P atmospheric. Okay. Now, you can see that when, so at the beginning of the suction stroke, definitely as the piston starts moving from this end to that end, that is cylinder bottom end to the cylinder outer end, pressure inside the cylinder will be less than the atmospheric pressure. Only then liquid will start flowing from the suction tank to the inside of the cylinder. So, say this is the pressure. If we try to use this color, so this is the pressure. Okay. And say this pressure is maintained, if we try to draw so this is point A and this pressure will be maintained. So, this is say this is the stroke length. So, cylinders suction stroke begins from point, say this is point A and this is point B. So, this is point A and this is point B. Okay. So, this is point A. So, this is point A, right. So, when during suction stroke, when suction stroke begins from point A and it continues up to point B, pressure inside the cylinder will be definitely less than the atmospheric pressure, and that is why liquid will move from suction tank to the into the cylinder. Now, at point B, that is when piston is at the cylinder outer end, right, when the next is the delivery stroke. So, now what I said that when the piston is at point B, pressure inside the cylinder will be reduced, so we will discuss slowly. Pressure inside the cylinder will be reduced because of the deceleration of the piston. As the piston is getting decelerated, liquid inside the cylinder as well as in the suction pipeline will be decelerated. So, that will eventually lead to a reduction in the pressure inside the cylinder, but at that point next stroke is a delivery stroke. So, next stroke is delivery stroke, and in that, so at the end of the suction stroke this valve will be closed. That is what we have learned. Now, in the beginning of the delivery stroke, momentarily the piston will create a thrust on the liquid volume that is there inside the cylinder. So, momentarily as the volume is remaining constant, because until and unless pressure difference pressure goes above a threshold value which is required to lift the delivery outlet valve. Again I am telling. So, when the delivery stroke begins, momentarily volume will remain constant, but pressure will increase. Pressure will increase because sufficient amount of pressure should be developed inside the cylinder, and which is required to lift the outlet valve, right. So, the force which is required to lift the outlet valve, that force will be developed, and then only liquid will start flowing from the cylinder to the delivery tank. So, momentarily when the delivery stroke begins, volume is remaining constant and it is creating a thrust on the liquid that is there inside the cylinder, and pressure will rise abruptly. So, say this is the pressure rise. So, this is point C, right. So, this is basically suction stroke. Now, at the beginning of the delivery stroke, when liquid volume is not getting displaced, as if volume is remaining same, but piston is creating thrust, creating thrust on the liquid volume. So, pressure will rise abruptly up to point C, and then when that pressure will be able to open the outlet valve by overcoming the force required to open it, and then liquid will start flowing from the through the delivery pipe, and it will eventually go to the delivery tank, and delivery stroke will continue. So, this is the delivery stroke, right. So, say this is point D. So, C to D. So, up to D, that means end of the delivery stroke when piston has reached at point A. So, basically that is the D, I am giving the point D. So, at this end of the so this is end of the delivery stroke. Okay. Now, when the piston has reached at at the at point A at the end of the delivery stroke, pressure will definitely fall and the cycle will be completed. So, this is what is the pressure volume diagram inside pressure inside the cylinder and the volume of the liquid. Now, you see this is very simply simplified analysis. You may argue that when piston during the suction stroke is moving from point A to point B, definitely when piston is travelling towards the point B, it is getting decelerated. So, definitely pressure will be less than, so pressure inside the cylinder will be definitely less than the atmospheric pressure, only then liquid will flow. But when the piston is at B towards the end towards point B during the end of the suction stroke, that time pressure inside the cylinder will be closer to atmospheric pressure, right, because piston is getting decelerated, liquid inside the cylinder and the pipeline is getting decelerated. So, I mean the movement of the liquid flow from suction tank to delivery tank will be stopped, which implies that the pressure inside the cylinder is close to the atmospheric pressure, but that is not getting reflected from this PV diagram. So, this is a simplified case. This simplified diagram does not take into account other effects which are there due to number 1 inertia effect, number 2 frictional losses. Try to understand what I am telling. I am telling at the beginning of the suction stroke, when piston is moving from point A, definitely pressure inside the cylinder will be less than the atmospheric pressure, and that is identified point A. Now, as the piston start travelling towards B during suction stroke, pressure in the cylinder will be reduced, I mean will be very close to the atmospheric pressure, because as say if I talk about point B, when piston has reached at point B, that time liquid flow from the suction tank to the cylinder has stopped. So, in that case this pressure will not be equal to pressure, so pressure at point B will not be equal to pressure at point A. So, this simplified diagram is good for the understanding, but we need to modify this diagram taking several other effects into consideration. So, first effect is the effect due to inertia and second is the frictional loss. What do we mean by inertia effect? See, I mean when the piston is starts travelling, when when the suction stroke begins and piston start moving from point A, liquid which is there inside the suction pipeline is having inertia. and also that inertia will, the effect due to inertia will be, should be taken into account. Also when the liquid is moving from suction tank to the cylinder or from cylinder to the delivery tank, should not we consider the frictional losses, right. So, we need to consider the frictional losses as the liquid is passing, liquid is moving from suction tank to the pump cylinder through the suction pipeline, and also from the cylinder, pump cylinder to the delivery tank through the delivery pipeline. So, frictional losses should be taken into account. Not only that, as I told you, when the delivery valve, I mean when the suction inlet valve is closed and during the delivery stroke, as I told you, the cylinder is having certain amount of fluid, and that fluid now piston will be having movement from point B to point A. So, the piston will compress the liquid that is there inside the cylinder, and also that effect will be percolated to the liquid that is there in the delivery pipeline, because delivery pipeline is always having certain amount of liquid, right. So, delivery pipe is always filled in with liquid. Now, question is, when the piston is compressing the liquid in the cylinder during the beginning of the, rather at the beginning of the delivery stroke, the inertia effect that is there due to the liquid volume in the delivery pipeline should be taken into account. So, the inertia effect as well as frictional losses should be taken into account, and this diagram should be modified by considering these two effects, and then only you will be able to know the real picture by how this reciprocating pump is working. So, we shall discuss, rather we shall try to modify this simplified diagram taking these two effects into account, and we will see that considering these two effects, the modified PV diagram, and from then we will try to understand by how the reciprocating pump is actually working. So, with this I stop here today, and we shall continue our discussion in the next.